The 2022 New York Giants season brought something Giants fans hadn't seen in a while: hope. The team went 9-7-1, made the playoffs, and even won a postseason game. But was this season truly a step forward? Or was it an overachievement that set the franchise back in the long run? Today, we're going to break down why the 2022 season was a fluke, how it hurt the Giants' rebuild, and why Brian Daboll winning Coach of the Year might have been a mistake. Let's dive into it. On paper, the 2022 Giants looked like a team on the rise. They finished the season 9-7-1, made the playoffs for the first time since 2016, and upset the Minnesota Vikings in the wild card round on the road. But let's take a closer look at those wins over the season. Of their 9 wins, 7 were decided by one possession. Their average margin of victory was just 6.8 points. And they had a negative point differential for the season, being outscored by 6 points. This wasn't just dominance, it was scraping by. But again, this is the modern NFL, and you have to take wins however you could take it. I'm just trying to illustrate how close these wins actually were. And as seasons progress and go on, you're on the losing side of more than those times than you're winning. And in 2022, for example, week 1 versus the Titans, the Giants won 21-20 after Tennessee missed a last-second field goal. In week 5 versus the Packers in London, the Giants won 27-22, where they rallied late in the game. And then in week 5 versus the Jaguars, they held on for a 23-17 win after Jacksonville came within a yard of scoring on the final play of the game. While credit goes to the team for finding ways to win, relying on such slim margins is rarely sustainable. Some of the main reasons for why the Giants were successful in 2022 was because quarterback Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley played their best football of their career, or arguably so. Daniel Jones in 2022 finished with a career high of 3,205 passing yards, tied a career high for passing touchdowns with 15, which is kind of crazy over the span of a full season, but I digress. More importantly, why he wasn't turning the ball over, he finished with a career low 5 interceptions. And then on the ground, he really showed his prowess with 708 rushing yards and 7 rushing touchdowns. So truly dual threat by today's NFL quarterback standards. On the flip side of things, Saquon Barkley finished the 2022 season with just over 1,300 rushing yards, his second highest in his career, probably third highest now after this season in 2024, 10 rushing touchdowns, and a 4.4 yards per carry. Jones became more efficient as a dual threat quarterback, and Barkley looked like his old self after some years of injuries, citing back to his Rookie of the Year campaign. But here's the thing, both players were playing at their peak and amassed the roster deficiencies and created a false sense of where the Giants were as a team. Winning 9 games and making the playoffs was fun, but it came at a cost. The Giants' 2022 success made it seem like they were further along in their rebuild than they actually were. Instead of tearing it down and starting fresh, they actually doubled down on Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, giving Jones a 4-year, $160 million contract and using the franchise tag on Barkley. With Jones being cut this season in 2024 and Saquon leaving this previous offseason to the Eagles through free agency, the 2024 team still has a lack of talent at key positions across the board. By winning in 2022, the Giants delayed a proper rebuild, leaving them stuck in mediocrity. Since 2022, the Giants have a record of 18-31-1, and since the start of 2023, they're just 9-24 through this season so far. Brian Daboll was named the NFL Coach of the Year in 2022. And while he did a solid job, was he really the best choice? Let's compare him to Pete Carroll of the Seattle Seahawks. Brian Daboll's 2022 Giants team, he came in as the head coach and inherited a 4-13 team. In 2022, they ended up going 9-7-1 with a veteran quarterback, Daniel Jones, and won 7 one-possession games, and including a win on the road in Minnesota. Now, Pete Carroll's 2022 Seattle Seahawks, he inherited a roster that many people, and even the national media was very heavy on this, that the Seahawks would be in total rebuild mode, especially after trading their franchise star Russell Wilson to the Broncos. It left him wondering who would even be playing quarterback. And at this point in his career, Geno Smith was pretty much a castaway, but Pete Carroll was able to turn him in to a Pro Bowler and a comeback player of the year. And this was at a point where Geno hasn't started in many years, and no one believed in him, yet he turned it around with the help of Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll led Seattle to a 9-8 record and a playoff berth in the tough NFC West. Now, I'll give both coaches their credit. Brian Daboll did come in, turn the team around, and had his great first season. Carroll also made decisions to remove franchise stars from his organization and still had success. It's hard to say which one is more deserving of the Coach of the Year award compared to one versus another, but we do see over the years that random coaches will come in and win this Coach of the Year award in their first year, and that's probably why someone like Pete Carroll wasn't given as much credit as he was due for what the Seahawks were able to do in 2022. Yes, the Giants won a playoff game in 2022. It was one of our best moments as a Giants fan since the last Super Bowl, when the Giants beat the Vikings 31-24. But even that came with an asterisk. The Vikings had one of the worst defenses in the league and were widely considered fraudulent, finishing the season with a 13-4 record despite a negative point differential. When the Giants faced a real playoff team in the Philadelphia Eagles in the divisional round, they were completely outclassed, losing 38-7. Even that game left such a poor taste in my mouth about how truly far off the Giants were from being competitive, even within their own division. The 2022 Giants season gave fans hope, but in hindsight, it was a fluke that hurt the franchise long term. They overachieved with a flawed roster, propped up by career years from Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, minus this season, and a heavy dose of luck in a lot of those close games. But what they do say, a real man makes his own luck, and Brian Daboll was able to make some of his own luck and getting, a nice roll of the dice in a lot of moments there as well. And instead of embracing a rebuild, the front office went all in, and the Giants are now paying the price. And let's not forget, their future could have been different had they lost more games in 2022, securing a higher draft pick, and truly rebuilding when they should have done it. The Giants needed to lose in 2022 to win for the future, but instead they're stuck in one of the worst positions in the NFL, mediocrity. What do you think? Was the Giants' 2022 season a fluke? Should they have embraced a full rebuild? And was Brian Daboll chosen as the rightful Coach of the Year? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell for more in-depth Giants content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.